Good morning and welcome again to our Meet the Franchisee webinar, where we invite members of the sign and lighting community to interact with the Yesco franchisee. We appreciate you making the time to join us today. My name is Sam Fisher and I am responsible for franchisee development. A few items before we begin. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on the web for later viewing. The participants will be muted to avoid background noise and distractions. The webinar is intended to last 30 minutes, including a question and answer session at the end. We are required to read the following legal disclaimer before we begin. The views and opinions expressed are those of the individual or individuals and not necessarily of Yesco or its affiliates. Furthermore, any specific financial information presented does not constitute a financial performance representation. We do not make any representations about a franchisee's future financial performance or the past financial performance of company-owned or franchise outlets. We also do not authorize our employees or representatives to make any such representations either orally or in writing. Information regarding the financial performance of Yesco Franchising can be found in our financial disclosure document. We invite you to request a copy by contacting your regional business development contact as shown in this map. At this time, I am very pleased to introduce our guest speakers. Justin and Michael Seibert are two brothers who started a company, the Sign Brothers, which operates alongside their Yesco branch. They were not familiar with Yesco, but were attracted to the deeply rooted sense of family and integrity, along with the simplicity of the sign and lighting service business model. The Seibert brothers have been with Yesco 1 year and currently have 2 trucks and 1 technician that operate around the Athens and Metro Atlanta area. They are excited to be part of the Yesco franchise family and look forward to growing their business. We thank them for taking the time to participate in this webinar. I will now turn the time over to Justin and Michael.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll let you kind of start it off, Michael.
Sure. I guess what we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about how we got started with the Sign Brothers and what we did with them and how we found Yesco to be a good fit. And then Justin will talk about kind of our due diligence process and what we went through kind of in between discovering Yesco and signing the franchise agreement. And then I'm going to finish up by talking about where we are today with Yesco and kind of the benefits that we've found. So we got started, my brother and I started the Sign Brothers back in 2007. It was just he and me and a graphic designer, and we didn't really have any experience in the sign industry before getting into it. So we were just, 3 guys, us and a graphic designer in a 1,500 square foot building, and just basically doing vinyl signs and graphics and operating with the mindset of somebody comes in and asks for a sign, you say yes, and you figure out how to do it after they leave. And it's what just kind of introduced us to the industry, and as we grew, we started managing larger and larger projects. It seemed to be a good fit for us because I tend to be more creative. Justin is the handyman of the two of us. We've been operating for Sign Brothers for coming up on 8 years now, and we've enjoyed that. We discovered Yesco. I would say it was actually back in 2013 when the year came up. 2013 was a new year. Justin and I were looking at ways to grow our business, and one of the things that we have always had in the back of our mind, just through things we've learned in business, is the opportunity to be a franchisee is one thing, but really the real goal is to be the creator, to be the franchisor. And so we actually had in our minds, not so much starting a franchise of a retail sign shop, because that's been done all over the country. But we didn't know anybody that was doing a sign service franchise. So we actually had that as our idea, to be a franchisor of a sign and lighting division, even though we knew nothing about it, even though we had no experience. It was kind of like the seed of an idea that would be essentially a 10-year plan to learn the industry and then develop it into a franchise model. But no lie, probably a week after we had this conversation, we got a call from Jason that was working in the Southeast region with Yesco at the time about a franchise opportunity for specifically sign and lighting services, and it just seemed it seemed uncanny, the timing, and that's really how we got introduced to the business was just basically a cold call from a salesperson, and we thought it was such remarkable coincidence that we took the call and listened intently and yeah, that was our introduction. What I'll do is I'll let Justin talk for a little bit about kind of our due diligence period, because if you did the math on a 2013 introduction to just being a franchisee for a year, you can see it took us a while to actually get on board.
Yep. So good morning. Sorry if it sounds like I'm pinching my nose because I have a bad sinus infection. This is Justin. So Michael and I found out about Yesco. It was kind of the early parts of 2013, and we had a couple good conversations, and then we actually went out and Yesco did a discovery day out in Salt Lake City, and we went out to that and got to meet some of the franchisees and got to know some of the folks at Yesco, and really were very impressed. Really feel like the people at Yesco are extremely genuine. Feel like they're a very family-oriented company, and being the Sign brothers, that's kind of we're obviously pretty family-oriented. We've really worked hard to build a culture where we take care of our people, and our people enjoy where they work, and really got a similar sense from Yesco. So that kind of lined up with our values. So that Discovery Day was really big for us to, really get a taste for what they were all about. And we really felt like, man, they really are, at least in person, as good as the opportunity sounded on the phone and, doing some internet research. So, so we really started at that point making our plans to figure out how we were going to do this. Because for us, being a small business, Michael and I were very involved in the day-to-day operations and sales for the Sign Brothers, and so it took a while for us to get our business kind of to a point to where we could, take the plunge and start a second business. That's something I definitely want to say is making this jump. Starting, Yesco. It was a second business for us, and it really it takes a lot to get it off the ground in the sense that it is a new business. That was something that I'm glad we took the time that we did to get our business right. But now that we're rolling, I'm really excited about it. But the process leading up to it, I did a lot of. I talked with several of the other franchisees. They were really helpful with kind of telling us the ins and outs of it. Really, after talking with all of them, there wasn't a single one that, had anything negative to say, which is, kind of surprising, because I've talked to some other business owners of other franchises, and there's usually some grumbling that goes on. And, literally to a man, there wasn't one that had anything negative to say. So that was encouraging. And then I also have I've got a friend, we're here in Athens, and so I'm close to the entrepreneur director here at the University of Georgia. And on the side, he also is a kind of like a franchise consultant. And I talked with him about the opportunity on several occasions, and he actually, using some of the tools, I guess, that he has, he did some background research on Yesco, and, I guess he has the ability to look up, pending lawsuits and any kind of positive or negative feedback he can find through whatever his channels are. And he came back to me and he said, "This is kind of odd, but I can't find anything negative about Yesco." This is, I really, that kind of surprises me, because you always find some dirt on franchises, and, he told me that it came back clean and that he couldn't find any reason why, at least doing his little background digging, to kind of discourage me from doing it. So that was just another check in the box to kind of confirm our decision. So but like I said, it took us a little while to do it, but once we finally pulled the trigger, this was a brand new business for us, so we're really we were glad we made the decision we made, just because not knowing electricity, it kind of scared us, because we're essentially starting a new business where we are completely relying on our technician to kind of help us do what it is that we do. And so that's why we felt partnering with Yesco rather than trying to do this on our own was definitely the way to do it. Just having the background of 90 plus years in the business really gave us a lot of comfort, and wouldn't change our decision one bit now that we've pulled the trigger and done it. So I'll kick it back to Michael and let him kind of tell you where we are now and what it's like after since we've become a franchisee.
Sure, yeah. So we went out to training back in August and early September of 2014. So we have been a franchisee for just over a year now. We didn't actually open our doors and start rolling a truck until, I would say, December. I think December 1st was like one of the first jobs we did. And if I were to do it again, I probably would have got up and rolling sooner. It's just kind of dealing with the whirlwind of having one business while trying to start another. There was never as much pressure to get Yesco up and going as there was questions from all of our other staff and employees and customers. So what we've done since is Justin and I have kind of divided our roles so that Justin is president of Sign Brothers, our custom side of the business, and then I have taken over those responsibilities for Yesco exclusively. We still have our own roles to serve within the company, but just so we can have some accountability and have a one point man that's responsible for growing the Yesco business. We feel like that was important because we have currently one salesperson, one technician, 2 trucks, and a part-time night patroller who goes around and takes the pictures of the signs that are out. And it really is a model that works. Excuse me. Really is a model that works. If you got effective people, but it takes time when you're getting started. You've got to manage it, and you've got to pay much more close attention to it. So that's why we made that split, and we're excited about it. We are. We just had some good meetings with some regional managers, and we have some opportunities to grow more. Trying to see what are some of the other benefits. Where our sales guy was a little bit kind of slow to start. He was, and one of the things that Yesco did is they do a site visit. They sent out Lee from Salt Lake City out here, spent a few days with Steve, and Steve's our sales guy, and it did have a big impact. So the support that you get from the home office is real, and it's effective. Steve noticed a difference. We noticed a difference in Steve, and everybody is better for it. Actually, we're interested in doing some additional training with Steve just after seeing what kind of leaps and bounds he has made since having that site visit with Lee. Some of the other benefits that we can seriously attest to are the
business coaching, I would say.
Business coaching. The KPIs that you get, it is a real franchise model in the sense that they have boiled it down to what activities will ultimately lead to success. And if you're hitting these benchmarks in terms of everything boiled down to the number of service patrols, to your gross profit margins. You kind of have influence on the levers that ultimately lead to a profitable business. The other benefit that is a real benefit that we can attest to is the pricing that you get from your suppliers. That is significant, especially in terms of everything that you're using on a daily basis. If you're already doing service work in your business, you should see a significant savings in the bottom line because of the savings you'll get through the Yesco buying power. Where else are we now? Let's see. We trying to think of anything.
The one thing I just wanted to add, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
I love with the Sign Brothers, we're a custom sign business, and so it's very complicated because it's hard to systemize custom, and so this is such a compact model. It really allows you to focus on doing one thing and doing it really well, and I don't think that there's enough that can be said for having a business that is very laser focused on doing one thing and doing it well. So, and this the model that Yesco has put together has taken that a step further and really streamlined it to where, you can't say the word autopilot because you can't just literally let your hands go because you still have to manage people. But it really does simplify the business and gives you the main things to focus on so that you can be successful.
One last thing that I would add as a benefit is the platform that you operate through, night patrols all the way to sales and job management. It's a real benefit, this whole night patrol system. We just had a good meeting yesterday with a customer that has 100 offices around the Atlanta region, and they basically needed someone to be their eyes out there because all their employees leave before it gets dark, and so they have had a void in service, and they'd worked with Yesco out west, and the reputation that Yesco had kind of paved for us was able to get us into the door, and basically we're getting a shot at managing. We're going to start small. They're basically giving us this group of 20 stores to patrol and service, and then opportunities can grow from there. But it was the one meeting where we were the ones, we were doing the pitching, but Yesco as a company had already paved the way and pitched a lot for us. A lot of it was through that night patrol. So that's another real benefit that Yesco has brought to the table. Not many people out here in Georgia know the Yesco name unless you're in the sign industry, unless you're talking to facilities maintenance managers who might have traveled from the West Coast to here. That was that case, just yesterday for us. I think that's all I had. I think we can, Sam, do we open it up for questions now? Is that the best?
Yes. So thank you, Justin and Michael. Appreciate your comments. We'll now take questions. To submit a question, click on the chat button on the Join.me toolbar, type your question, and then submit it. While we're waiting for the first questions to come in, I'll go ahead and start with one. So Justin and Michael, what would you do differently besides getting up and rolling sooner, as you mentioned?
I think looking back hindsight, it's really easy to do that. Hindsight, I wish Michael and I had both spent more time in the sales role ourselves before we turned our salesman loose, because that really, it's hard to coach something that you're not really good at yourself. And so I kind of regret that in the beginning he and I didn't spend more time ourselves doing sales and getting good at it before turning it over. Like I said, that's easy to see now, but I feel like we would have grown faster had we done that because we would have been able to coach more effectively.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anything I would have done different? let's see. Nothing so specific. Aside from a little more due diligence with our truck, we have a truck. It works fine, but making sure you don't just get electrician's truck, a service body vehicle. We have two trucks, one of which is kind of your old electrical company truck. The second one we have has got this service body on it, which is able to store a lot of inventory. That is a really crucial investment that we made. That second truck is the one that's rolling, 90% of the time because so many parts on it. It's great to be able to tell a customer that one of the benefits they get is our truck is stocked with the parts to get the job done when our technician arrives on site. We won't have to do a survey, make an assessment, and then make a return trip. It really helps us because servicing a lot of the Atlanta area, there can be some miles in between either our shop and the customer or our supplier's warehouse and the customer. So you want to make sure that you can provide the best value for the customer. Other than those two things, I'm trying to think. I should have marketed a little bit harder in the front end as well. Not getting caught up in the whirlwind of running the Sign Brothers and Yesco at the same time, but instead make that delineation a little bit earlier.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
So a question that came in is regarding your annual revenue, and I'll step in and answer this question because of the regulations in the franchise industry. We can't have our franchisees disclose that information on a webinar that we host. That said, you're welcome to reach out to any of our franchisees and ask them any questions that you have for them specifically outside of this webinar. I will say, though, that in our franchise disclosure document, we report that on average our franchisees in their first year of operation report an average of $295,000 in revenue. In their second year, $435,000 in revenue, and for those that have been in the system for 3 years, just over $1 million in revenue. And we also report in that disclosure document an average gross margin across our franchisees of 51%. The next question we have is about month-to-month sales consistency. And they're asking about down months and peak months. So Michael and Justin, I'll let you answer that just with the caveat that you don't use absolute numbers, just relative percentages or kind of relative guesstimates.
Sure. I can take that. This is Michael. What I would say, and one of the reasons that one of our, regrets or one of the things that we would change if we had it to do over would be to get started earlier, specifically because when it starts to get darker earlier, people are more interested in getting their signs fixed. The summer times are a little bit slower. We haven't officially crossed into these fall months, but from what we've heard from the other franchisees is that there are a lot of opportunities that open up once daylight savings time comes around, and once it starts getting dark early in the evening.
Yeah, and it is hard to say though how much of it has to do with our business kind of still ramping up. We're still just completing we're not even to our first full year of operation, so it's I don't know if we have a track record enough yet to really see that, but things have definitely picked up the last couple of months for sure.
Excellent. So the next question has to do with, I assume, the gross margin that I just quoted. Profit margins, have they been determined using union labor versus non-collective bargaining? So I will say that we use an average across our network. So for those that have union labor wages, those will be averaged in, so it's a blended number. I don't have data that would suggest how much of the revenue that's reported in the gross margin is unionized, unfortunately. So I apologize, we don't have that information. Next question, who bills local clients for services? So Justin, Michael?
Who bills them, as in invoices them?
Yep.
We have an office manager that basically works between the two companies, and her role is to work with the salesperson and then coordinate with the customer to get payment on it. So it doesn't. Our technician currently is not receiving payments. It's all done through our office.
All right. Next question. Actually, the next two questions seem to be related. Can territories be changed or reduced after they are originally contracted? And is there a way where a franchisee could lose their territory? I'll respond to this one if that's okay, Justin and Michael.
Sure.
So in the contract, in the franchise agreement, there is a stipulation that you will meet what is called the territory sales quota. It is a revenue figure that ramps up over the first few years, and the purpose there is to make sure that our franchisees are meeting what you could consider to be a floor or a minimum as far as revenue. And if they persist in operating at a revenue that's lower than that, we reserve the right to change or modify the territory accordingly. I can't say in my time being here that I've seen that happen, but that right is reserved and could happen if that revenue minimum isn't met. Next question is, what was your total upfront investment and additional capital invested thereafter? And again, this is a financial question that I can't pass along to Justin and Michael, but I will point you again to our franchise disclosure document where we list ranges of all of the different categories of initial investment costs. And you're also welcome to ask that question to any of our franchisees, including Justin and Michael. We're happy to provide their contact information. Feel free to reach out to your regional development manager, and they can put you in touch. Well, it looks like those are all the questions that we have. Again, thank you to Justin and Michael, and thanks as well to our participants for making time to join us. We hope this was informative, and again, invite you to contact us to schedule a software demonstration or to request a copy of our franchisee disclosure document or to be put in touch with our franchisees. Thanks again, and have a great day, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Thank you all.